I'm E.R. Vogel, a local poet, born and raised in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I want to thank Sherry and everyone else here for setting this up for me. I'm going to read some of my favorite poems out of my two books, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble's website. Hopefully more to come. Let's start with The White Piano. I light the candle as you start playing the first note of the white piano stuffed in the corner of the room. Not sure why you're so careful placing the sheet music we both know you have memorized years ago. The black dress still rolled down and scrunched up unveils the tattooed Mayan woman dancing on your back. Your matching torn open corset covers her mouth when I try to write during the low notes. I have to stop on the high notes. Too distracted by comparing her lips to yours as if I never experienced both pairs before. The marbled angel, seemingly growing from the cover, keeping you strong and balanced, holds together her hands tight to protect focus inside of peace, inside of bliss, inside satisfaction with still enough energy to be creative and remain beautiful through throes of passion and messy hair. I lose track of the melody, stuck in the throes of countless interactions I'll never experience but use as a metaphor for trying too hard or not enough. Countless, in a sense, imagination and infatuation work together to almost lose sight of realism. Interactions defend creative passion. Discreet enough to not cause attention, begging to be understood, then grows lazy, learning not to care about something everyone else would have some reaction to. Normally, I can never point out the crescendo of this tune. Today is different. Being particular about when to zone out helps me finally notice I've heard this song enough. Melting wax sways and starts to dry on its rattling holder where your eyes and hers start to gleam with artistic brilliance, displaying dramatic yet proper response to the mood shift I created without control this relaxing afternoon. The music intensifies. Still under your control, my foot tapping is only out of nervous fear for what you will say next. I can see those angry eyes focused on every key staring at the back of your head. Hair more wild than when my hand made an impression an hour ago. Your energy sounds like a symphony, complementing everything you stand for. Something I now realize never cared about before your righteous consciousness melodically proves me right about not trying hard enough. The song ends. I know you have. I just need your patience. The song starts again. That one and this second one is more about the confusion of love itself. A lot of it is in my first one, Love Poems and Other Stuff. Perspective matters. I often think of other realities where we never met, wondering if I'll be happier or worse, but usually calming myself that I'd feel the same without knowing the quirks of your lips, interlocking with mine, or how you shut me out, just so we can't express our feelings through uncomfortable disagreement. Masking confusion with belief in the gaze of what we know is true makes every unexperienced connection more complicated than we thought. I think about the roles reversed, where you are obsessed with me and I'm indifferent except for your looks. Something more of a prize to show off to my ego. Presenting a somehow rightful confidence to tell myself I'm just fine if I can make her, and more importantly, myself, happy enough to sleep at night, ignoring what else we might be. A reality more realistic shows up more often, where we both know we want each other, just choose to hide like everything in life, proving we should do something together. Proud of our civility, it still hurts being aware things happen. A reality where I'm too dumb to be aware of my depth for you and can't feel the pain of memory is a failing life. So I try not to be that version of me, as easy as it is to imagine. Another thing I like to talk about often is mental health. And there's a lot of different viewpoints and a lot of different things up with everybody. So if anything can spark assistance, I think poetry is a huge part of it. Slipping on the spill my ego drinks from, it becomes harder to catch myself. I've always had good balance physically, so losing it on a concept makes leaning properly an actual challenge due to lack of practice. I've never fallen down before, wildly dancing to no music, while looking for something to grab, fear-faced and desperate, the filthy plate-covered counter becomes stability for a short while, until realizing I just need to fall. Taking the hit to my tailbone, losing faith in my slip-proof shoes, this limp has become my natural compass towards necessary rest none of us should neglect. There's a lot of different people, a lot of different ways to cope with things, and there are a lot more people coping with themselves than I thought. Wisdom can be found in search of self. Also, lonesome meditation comes with the work. There isn't a choice sometimes, and that's okay. Watching an old woman on a bench, waiting for a ride as she knits fluidly through wind yelling at her knuckles in sunshine. Smells of the city don't distract her. They may even influence the work. Talking to a middle-aged man at a bar sunken into cheap whiskey, which does not help him notice the problems in his life are him messing up constantly, yet his timing on punchlines make me laugh. The kid my age and I reconnect. We haven't seen each other in years. Always respecting each other's space, we got along when we had to. Now we want to learn from each other and all the things put in our way that led us to who we are now. We never make plans like we ought to. Teenage coworkers make me feel powerful. Having authority and leadership over someone still learning about life requires a delicate balance of preacher and friend. I have to know how to learn so I can teach well. Someone I used to love's toddler is so refreshing with his blissful smile. I can see the parts of him that would be mine. The infant of someone I still love without saying so because I'm weak laughs when I meditate, unaware of how much natural confusion I can show her if competence disappears. Another fun part about anything with mental awareness are panic attacks. To be the fool I thought I'd be afraid to become is accompanied by bouts of chaos, distracted by shiny specks of dust. If I clean up properly, these shimmers float, more dancing weightlessly, when sunlight decides to reintroduce itself among gusts of rotating electric wind. Vibrating knuckles look like broken ones. Shivering fingers set the bones back in place. Too worried where my mind will go to notice shattering and reconstruction, like the difference between inhale and X. Actions speak loud. We rarely take time to consider a remark, violent or passive, is acting in motion. We always think before we speak. That's how brains work. We don't always suck out the poison first. Learning to listen to myself, my taste buds are no longer numb to the quick-witted, authentic anger. It does not have to be that way. I know that now. Attempting to calm down in times I want to yell leads to a consequence easier to read. Solutions make more sense than retaliation. There's more to that, though. I still have to live with the things I've done. Karma and trauma are very close. Kissing cousins who want to get caught, but get distracted in the throes of something only they understand to enjoy. I can wait until those filthy lips show their teeth to bite me. I'll deserve it, and I'll live with it. The only way I'll let regret weigh on me is if I never learn to grow and change. Let that storm come in to cloud your view of the sun. I'll teach you patience, waiting to dry off. Dependent on nothing in particular puts focus on enjoyment, with no expectations waiting for me. I control what makes happy satisfying. I control what makes me need to cry. Release is a constant desire, shown in little acts of existing. There is no difference between a smile and a tear and a blank stare of confusion because it's all proper expression. As long as you're not lying to others and, more importantly, yourself. Joy shouts her purest self to echo inside my mind. The vibrations cause uncontrollable bouncing between my lips. Why not laugh? I'm breathing and not terribly sad. Another topic I bring up often is aging and imagining what it would be like to have children since I don't have any of my own. But this one is distance. At the end of my eyesight, something dashed across the ballroom. In this crowd of blurs, the dulled fluorescent blue spun and hid from me all night among intertwined legs trying to dance, covered by fashion I pretend to care about tonight for her happiness. Often too far out of reach until I hear the giggle like she never left my side. I turn, but always watch the blue train she decided to decorate with dirty footprints and cupcake stains slither away between happy daughters and way more happy fathers. None of these men worry about distance because a child's feet rest on theirs. I'm trying to hold her as close as I can now before this running away becomes her personality. I'm terrified of the distance she hasn't even shown me yet. I know you'll laugh at this dance hall chase and my fear of losing her after telling her to never scare me like that again. I'm not sure which of those life will listen to. What will become of me when I can't move easily? I may understand time's fragility more, how memories dare cross my mind like a song I can't escape. Enlightening regret makes a good story, forgetting how drained I always am after the truth. Cleared air makes heavy fog eventually. Wrinkled hands shaking to my tails add suspense learned from patient experience. Another one about being a father, but not yet. After walking halfway through an orchard of unhappy-looking trees, I find an apple with a bite taken out, yet never plucked. It has grown higher than the average man, but I don't know who was here before I decided I was hungry and thirsty. Wind and leaves and the people that followed made the large prince blend along with her tiny feet, laughing, running away from me. The giggle between her toes gives away her position behind a tree next to a wide shack. This tree blocking her has no life growing from it except one rotten fruit that falls into her hand the second I jump around to scare her youthful innocence with a wooden sword I found under the bitten apple. The shriek upset the worker enough to leave the shack, only to cut his anger off when he saw a father and child having fun in harvested wood. He is an unaveragely tall man, with heightened boots to help him intimidate us. For her sake, I hide my fear to calm both of us. Familiar with our opposing reactions, he apologizes in a deep voice. I feel up my spine, vibrating every vertebrae until a melodic "How are you?" finds its way to form as she drops the dying fruit. It rolls to my foot, making me cover a jump, tightening myself more so. He lowers his head, replies as he shakes my hand, takes a knee and lightly pats her head, with a smile better than mine. That giggle leaves her toes and escapes out of her mouth, calming all of us down. He stands back up, slouching his shoulders as he fights apologizing again, letting us into his workshop. He pours 3 glasses of cider, a different kind for her, that he made himself for us to share around a fireplace as cozy as your house. She walks around, soaking everything in as he and I laugh with our feet tapping along to the music. "What's this?" she screams down the hall and around the corner. I quickly pace while he walks slowly as to not be rude and pass me in this hallway just wider than himself. We find her in the bathroom, baffled at a tub with no shower head. I laugh harder than him when he explains he likes to relax whenever he can. They look at me confused until she starts playing with the curtain, covering and uncovering the tree I scared her less than he did, mesmerized by flowers dancing with butterflies, flowing in cloth that matched the light brown wood wall. Matching her sense of amazement in something simple, he runs away after we hear a moan from farther down the hall. I convince her to walk back to the fireplace so neither of us have to endure whatever caused the painful screams from behind the locked wood frame. "What's that?" she repeats, trying out her heels as brakes. "We'll find out after, sweetie," with a loss of any other excuse. I'm just glad I found a way to not ignore her question this time. She empties her glass and places it in the sink because we taught her well. Mine is shaking his impatience for his return back to a soothing host. Cider spills in my beard, dropping off like icicles when the weather gets warmer. It is much too early in the season for real ones to shimmer and shatter by my feet, but I still have a shiver as threatening as winds across the frozen lake near our old home. Her smile warms stronger than the sun beating down on a lonely bug, trapped in desert land, yearning to quench its thirst in the mirage of a puddle just a few steps ahead for the past few hundred steps. When she catches her reflection in the glass of a grandfather clock, it seemed as if that smile warmed her more like that afternoon we settled on the open patch in the middle of leaf-layered canopies, overlapped with a quality handmade quilt you forced on us. The picnic was peaceful as her face between those ticking hands. He returns, moving slower than before, face half buried in his strong hand, wiping a tear with the other. Emptied eyes lock my confused ones to show defeat being accepted. He kneels down again, pats her head. "Never forget who takes care of you," as he rests his hand on her shoulder, looking back up to me. I politely smile, put my glass down, and show ourselves out. On the way out, I peek down the hall to see an open door with an elderly, motionless woman and start to cry with him, just for a moment, to not concern her. His last bit of wisdom is no longer mystical. I have to keep taking care of her. The last half of our walk is much quieter. As I finish the apple he took a bite out of. If you couldn't tell, I like to tell stories. And this last one isn't quite as long, but a good reason to tell stories is to make a point sometimes. This is what I learned in school. My first pronunciation of island was island. I remember being so proud of myself, thinking I had it down until I felt like an idiot learning I didn't. It was not the teacher's sweet way of correcting me, not even my peers laughing. It was just my own insecurities showing the struggles of learning. That is not a metaphor for my experience of the system I had no choice in joining, more of a framing device for this reading. Education comes from more than just a building full of desks and adults telling you what you ought to know. Schools are a very organized form of taking in proper lessons. So uniformed, in fact, that we sometimes look over individuality and the aspects of needing to learn the skills to use the tools of deserted enlightenment. Mold what children want to learn. The boring stuff should only be what is absolutely necessary. Most of life's lessons are taught every day by the strict instructor of being alive. Smart ones know that knowing nothing is the easiest way to live, so why do we think knowing everything isn't hard? I know more random knowledge than things I can use to improve my life. There's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. Being intelligent shows you can understand what's thrown at you. Being wise means knowing how to survive what landed. I started writing when I learned how to. My mother making me read wild, unheard of stories just before bed, so there was no way I could simply sleep until I lay down on a man-made beach and a man-made fire I thought I started to keep me warm. Everyone knowing everything would be an interesting story, but fantasies exist for a reason. Imagination grows from encouragement. It could be a certain teacher sparking your interest, or life just kicking you, or even life sending you a sweet breeze on the beach of an island to make you realize what you really ought to know. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, everybody. Great experience. If you like it, let me know. I got social media stuff and 2 books out. So thank you.